Welcome to Exploring the Paranormal. Hosted by Heather Lee, PhD, Exploring the Paranormal offers a new, fresh look into paranormal research. Join Heather as she discusses some of the many haunted locations worldwide, discusses why these locations are haunted, hear from paranormal researchers about their personal experiences at these locations. Additionally, Heather takes a journey into the science behind the paranormal, discussing topics such as thermodynamics and the Heisenberg principle and how they both affect paranormal activity. Now, your host of Exploring the Paranormal, Dr. Heather Lee.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Exploring the Paranormal. I'm super excited to be back. We've had a couple weeks off and perfect time to relax and recoup and come up with some amazing plans for the show. Exciting news. I don't know if you guys have seen, but our entire show schedule for the for the year of 2023 is booked. So be prepared for amazing guests. I have a whole bunch of different guests from all walks of paranormal life including several who do research in other areas that are related to the paranormal. So make sure, I don't want to give away some of the surprise guests that I have coming later in the season, but definitely looking forward to a few things. And good morning, Lee. Today, now that Lee is on the chat, we will be having two special guests. There are two of my viewers. Lee Warner is going to be one of them. And then the other guest will be joining as well. So looking forward to talking to them about their paranormal experiences and what it's like to have these different experiences, but not be a full-time paranormal researcher like some of us are. So definitely looking forward to that. They will be joining me about 10:30 this morning. So stay tuned for that. Lots of amazing announcements coming up. First of all, for those of you who haven't seen on my Facebook page, but I finally got my book in. Haunted Florida Lighthouses is here. I received a couple copies to start. I do have another shipment coming in. All the books that I have now are completely sold out and claimed. So make sure if you want to get a copy from the next shipment that you message me. You can also email me at heather.lee73@gmail.com. Find me on Exploring the Paranormal Show on Facebook, or at Dr. Heather Lee on Facebook. You can message me there as well and let me know if you want your copy. And I'll make sure that when the next shipment comes in, you're the first to get one. I also still have, let me just look, I counted my inventory this morning of all my other books. I have 10 books of Haunted Southern Nevada Ghost Towns, and I have 3 books of Ghosts and Legends of the Vegas Valley. So if you want any of the books, let me know. It doesn't have to be the Lighthouse book. It can be any of the other 2 books that I have as well. What I'm going to be doing is it's $25 for each book, and that includes shipping. I will autograph them and personalize them and ship them straight to you. If you want 2 of the books, let me know which 2 you want, and that would be for $45 for the 2 books. Or if you want all 3 books, Haunted Florida Lighthouses, Haunted Southern Nevada Ghost Towns, and Ghosts and Legends of the Vegas Valley, it's $65 for all 3. All 3 will be autographed and shipped directly to you, and prices do include shipping. So let me know if you would be interested in that, and I will make sure I get you those invoices and get you on the list for when the next shipment comes in for the Lighthouse book. Also, for those of you who've missed it, in the last couple months, I have shipped off the Haunted Florida Ghost Towns. It's off to the publishers. I don't have a publication date for that one yet, but soon. And I have officially signed the contracts for a spring 2024 release for Haunted Roadside Attractions and Ghosts and Legends of the Florida Pirates. And then, of course, you guys know I'm always working. So we also have Haunted Florida Theme Parks and Haunted Florida Civil War sites also next in line and ready to go once these other 2 books are done. So I'm just checking in. Good morning, Sheila. How are you doing? Hope everything is well. Oh, good. Yeah, just go. If you have to go, no problem. You can catch the replay. I've shared the links, and also you can catch the replay on YouTube as well. So I'll make sure you get those after the show has aired. And just a couple other things to catch up on before we get diving deep into things. But Ghost Education 101, tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be joined by special guest Robert Bradley. He will be presenting a presentation. He does amazing work in this area, science and the paranormal, and how we can use the scientific method for paranormal research. So that is always a great presentation, and Robert is always a great guest. Of course, you have Real Haunts, Ghost Towns, and Real Haunts 3 is available on Prime, and you can also get it on Tubi for free. Don't forget, if you haven't checked it out, Ghost Adventures Lake of Death is on Max and Discovery Plus. And then Joe Frankie and I return Thursday night, and we have special guest Jeff Schlachter, who will be joining us for just an overall conversation on paranormal. We're going to be discussing different types of equipment, how to use them, analyzing. Jeff is great at analyzing audio and video. So make sure you have your questions for that. And that will start at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. And for those of you who were able to join Passport to the Paranormal last week, you got a special treat. We had so much conversation going on. We actually lasted for 3 hours. Not something we're going to do every week because I sure had trouble getting up Friday morning. But yeah, definitely. It's always a good conversation, and we love to joke around and have fun. Also, Patreon, I wanted to show you guys, I mentioned last time I was live with you guys that I wanted to show you something. But on Patreon, I have different levels, starting at $5, $25, and $50. They include behind the scenes looks, advance notice of shows and events. I also, at certain levels, you can get free shamanic life coaching from me and all of that type of stuff. And if you attend any of the events that I'm going to be going to, I am offering free gifts for if you're a Patreon supporter of mine. So here's what the gift is. It's a large jar, and it has the selenite. This is blessed sea salt, a blessed sea salt mixture, Palo Santo, cascarilla, sage, and then there is a quartz crystal here in the bottom. So these will be given if you are a Patreon supporter and you attend one of the events. You'll get a cute little gift as a thank you for coming by and seeing me at the event, and also for being a Patreon supporter. A few more announcements. Make sure that your calendars are marked and that you have registered. TMCC Epic courses are now available to register online. I am teaching 2 classes this fall. September 25th from 6 to 9. The ABCs of Paranormal Research, October 9th from 6 to 9 p.m. And these are Pacific times. Ghost Hunting 101. So make sure you check those out and get registered for that. They're both online courses, and we will be doing giveaways at the end of the course for everybody who attends it. To either, I'm not sure if I'm going to do a gift basket or a book or even one of my home protection kits. So sign up for that. And then this next announcement, I'm super excited for you. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it on other shows that I've been on, but September 15th through 17th, right here in Orlando, at the DoubleTree, it's at the entrance of Universal Studios, Phantasm Orlando 2023 will be occurring. This is a great horror show and a whole bunch of stuff. And I just realized I was going to share with you guys my list of panels I'm doing, but I just realized I pulled up the old one because they just updated my panel. So just give me 1 second to pull up the new one. But I'm looking forward to that. I'm doing several different panels. It's slowly coming up. Sorry about that. I should have paid more closer attention. That'll teach me to do my show prep in the morning when I'm not quite awake yet. There it is. Okay, so we have on Friday night, and it just froze. Okay, so just give me 1 second while that pops up. But Phantasm, you're going to have a whole bunch of different horror guests are going to be there. And I know like Nick Bender, who's a special effects artist, is going to be there. And we do, they are doing a paranormal track this year. They did one last year, but it wasn't as big as it is this year. So I will be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with a booth where you can come get an autographed copies of my books. If you're not a Patreon supporter, I will have those home protection kits as well as a whole bunch of other things that you can purchase. I'm putting together their the little spell jar, not spell jars, the home protection jars that I've talked about. I'm putting together some kits where you can make those and a whole bunch of other things. So Friday, I am going to be talking about the history of witches and witchcraft and horror story origins. I'm going to be doing that one with my son. We're going to be talking about different horror stories and how they influenced the movies. So basically, like the Philip experiment. You guys hear me talk about that all the time. That's going to be one of the topics that we talk about, and how it influenced the quiet ones. And I know there's several others that we're going to be talking about. On Saturday, I have herbal magic in the paranormal. That's where I'm going to kind of demonstrate the different types of herbal magic you can use and how to make spell jars and home protection jars. 1 p.m., Haunted Florida Lighthouses, based on the book. 5 p.m., a presentation I'm doing with Joe Frankie, to Ouija or not to Ouija. And then at 7 p.m., we have all of our paranormal guests joining for a paranormal Q&A panel discussion. Then Sunday, in the last day of the event, I have Behind the Shadows, where we're going to be talking about the Hat Man, Shadow People, and Men in Black. 1 p.m., another paranormal Q&A with all of the paranormal guests. And then at 3 p.m., my son and I are going to be returning back to the stage to do a presentation on legends of historic and modern day vampires. So we will be talking about that as well. So that will be a fun weekend. Super looking forward to doing that and excited for that. Good morning, Mike. How are you doing? Haven't talked to you in a while. I hope all is well. Okay, so I think I covered everything that I wanted to talk about. Just making sure that I've got everything covered, and yep, it looks like I've got all of that. So we are good. I've covered everything that I need to cover. So you guys know I'm always open to talk about any type of topics or anything that you guys want to talk about. My guests today are actual viewers of the show, so that is going to be fun and exciting. Cannot wait to I want to talk about with them their experiences and what it's like to experience paranormal activity and not, live it every day. I know a lot of people who aren't paranormal investigators still do their research and do all of their stuff, but not having it as like in taking over their life type of thing. So it's going to be kind of fun to talk to them and get their input and all of that. And I know next week I have Nicole Ray, or Nicole Gaspard. She is a psychic medium who's been on the show before. She's looking forward to coming back to talk about a few different things, including some of her upcoming books and upcoming projects that she has. So that is always fun. I love chatting with Nicole. She's a sweet girl and definitely full of a lot of information and personal experiences that she can share with us as well. So with that said, as always, guys, make sure you ask any questions you have along the way. Don't be afraid. Join in on the show. Let me know. Actually, the other thing too is, you guys, I started booking for next year. So if you have anyone that you would like to see as a guest, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, definitely go to my Facebook page. Check out that pinned post. There's a Google form attached to it. You can fill out that Google form, and that lets me know what you want to talk about, so I know exactly where to put you in. Because trust me, my New Year's resolution, and everybody's going to laugh at this because everyone thinks I'm so organized. My New Year's resolution is going to be being more organized for the show. I'm going to have more of an outline. I know we talked a couple weeks ago when I was live that I'm going to do things like an herb of the day, to where I could talk about the different properties and how to use it, demonstrate different ways to use herbal magic. I'm also going to do a deeper dive into paranormal and science behind the paranormal. So kind of give more of an in-depth look into the different things. Of course, the items that are in my intro, the Heisenberg principle, thermodynamics, all of that stuff. String theory is coming out. I know the current research project I'm working on is I've talked about it several times before, and I get asked about it all the time when I'm on interviews, is the Superman theory. And that one is really interesting. Want to definitely talk about that, but I want to do more research on it. Oh, so yep, Lee has arrived, and yep, I knew it was her birthday. I had it written down. But yeah, so we'll be bringing on our guests in just a moment. But real quick, getting back to the Superman theory, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. Feel free to share with me. You guys know I'm always open to hear opinions and everyone else's thoughts and theories on things. But there was a UK study that they're looking into how quartz crystal can act as, the stone tape theory is similar to that, but it's quartz crystal that is what holds it. Similar to, Superman. All of his crystals that he had around him, and that held his powers. And I know I'm going to get tons of that, because Superman forever. So superhero lore wrong, sorry. But essentially it's they were able to put the entire Bible on about the size of, I think it was a quarter, quartz crystal. They were able to put the whole Bible on there and keep it there. So it worked out perfect. And it's, that showed how quartz crystal can hold so much data. So these areas such as, the Alaska Triangle, Nevada Triangle, Bermuda Triangle, underneath the earth, those areas are believed to have higher concentrations of quartz crystal, which is why they're more haunted than others. Other locations that are more haunted than others also have the high counts of quartz crystal in the ground. So these act as recordings. So it's kind of one of those things that these areas may be more active, but it could be just residual hauntings. So that's all stuff that I want to start researching. But I need to get a bigger house with a room that I can so that way I can put maps up on the wall. I'm going to be one of those with the maps and the strings and the pins. And yeah, it's going to be interesting once I dive deep into that one. But that is what I'm starting to research a little bit more in depth. Trying to think of some other projects I'm working on. I am working on a couple different ebooks that I want to do. I do have one book that is done. I'm just finishing up the editing process of that. And it is 13 things that ghost hunting has taught me about network marketing. I have been in network marketing for more than 20 years on and off, and paranormal investigating longer than that. And I've kind of taken what I've learned from one and put it into another. And I think it turned out to be a great book. And I've had several friends who are still in network marketing go through it and love it. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm hoping, keep your fingers crossed, that I'm able to finish the editing process this week, and maybe I can get that out before October. So I'll let you guys know if that does come out. But then if you guys have any topics that you want to see, either on ebook or even on any of my shows, let me know. I'm always looking forward to that. I know Ghost Education 101, we are going to be flip-flopping from a presentation, panel discussion, and then special guest. So we're going to be going through that rotation. So if you guys if you don't want to be a one-on-one special guest with us, let us know what your topics of interest are. And when we have a panel, we'll definitely reach out to get you on that panel. So that's always fun. And on this show, I'm going to start, even though I'm going to have my themes for this show moving forward, I'm going to figure out who my guests are, and I'm going to theme my show around that. So definitely looking forward to all the different things that we have planned. And this year, so truly many amazing guests are planned. So like I say, you guys just let me know what you guys want to learn about, hear about. I know a lot of people have messaged me saying they want to hear more about haunted locations. They absolutely loved when I did the presentation on haunted Southern Nevada ghost towns. So I think I'm going to do another one on my Vegas book, and then one on, I'm doing one for the Lighthouse book because I got to present that at Phantasm. So maybe towards the end of the year, we'll try to get those in and go over all of that stuff. But a lot of people have responded very greatly and positively when I do the different presentations like that. They seem to like that. And it's a visual aid. I know you guys can watch or listen to this, or you guys can listen to this without the video, but I will try to go in as much detail as possible. So you don't need the visuals, but the visuals are always a great enhancement, and people are really enjoying that. So I'm looking at the time real quick, and I know our other guest wasn't going to be coming on until 10:30, but we're going to take a quick commercial break since I am ahead of schedule today, and then we will get started. And as soon as the other guest shows up, we will bring them on. So guys, enjoy this quick commercial break, and we'll see you in just a few moments.
Looking for a unique paranormal experience? The Haunted Rock Island YMCA Paracon, October 7th, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. is just the event you're looking for. You will have the opportunity to investigate the Haunted Rock Island YMCA with ACG Paranormal. Visit with over 60 paranormal and metaphysical vendors from 8 or more states. And pre-order your t-shirts at dvinar@aol.com. Visit a psychic gallery reading, mediums, tea leaf reading, animal communication, dream interpretation, aura reading, tarot and oracle card readings, or get a Reiki healing. See a demonstration of the Estes method by Carly Bird. Presentations by Nick Simons and Aaron G. Thompson of 28 Days Haunted, Greg Bakken from Ghostbox Radio, and headliner Rick Hayes, along with many folks you'll see on Paraflix. Be sure to like and follow our sponsors: Paraflix, WLTK DB Talk Radio LLC, Studio 6 Productions, Unturned Pages, and Ocean Eye Crystals. General admission is only $5, and all proceeds go directly to the Haunted Rock Island YMCA. For more information on the Haunted Rock Island YMCA Paracon and vendors, look for them on Facebook under Events.
Hey guys, welcome back to Exploring the Paranormal. Today is a super special episode. Instead of going with all of these people who've been researching the paranormal for 30, 50, 60 plus years, trust me, there are some of us out there who have been researching it that long. We are taking a shift, and we are actually welcoming two guests who watch the show regularly to come on the show to discuss their different paranormal experiences. I know one guest is already backstage and the other one will be here soon. But rather than have you guys continue listening to me babble on about whatever is running through my mind, trust me, my mind goes 100 miles an hour, so I can be on one topic, flip-flop to another topic. You know, it's like, oh, hey, squirrel. But I'm going to welcome Lee to the show before I continue babbling on any further. So Lee, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hi. Can you hear me?
Good. Yes, I can.
Good.
It's finally great to have a face to the name.
Yes. Well, you know, you have your own Lee name, so that's good.
Yeah, it's interesting because my name is actually, Lee is my middle name.
Oh, okay.
But because my name is so long, my last name is hyphenated, that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go by Heather Lee PhD. It rhymes. It works.
And it's a great name.
Right, it is. And even growing up, I always went by Heather Lee. I never just went by Heather.
Oh.
So
my mom wanted to name me Roberta Lee, but my dad was a Robert, and he didn't want two Bobbies, so I was going to be Bobby Lee. But no, I just got the Lee.
Oh, that would have been pretty though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome to the show. Super excited to have you here today. And I know you have the banner behind you. So yeah. I've actually heard a little rumor. So we'll talk for a few minutes about this while we wait for the other guest.
Look, I got some coffee too.
I need to get a mug for my coffee. But rumor has it you're getting your own show?
Yes, it happened organically. I was listening to Dee Dee's show, and we were talking about movies and in the chat, and I was like, that's because Todd had been like, Lee, you need your own show. And I was like, I was like, hey, I could do that. I'm full of useless knowledge, and I love movies and sci-fi, paranormal movies, fantasy.
Yep.
I don't do horror though. I'm not.
Oh. Yeah, I don't either, but everyone wants to hear about it, especially like the horror conventions that I'm going to. Everyone wants to hear about how paranormal activity has influenced these horror movies. And so that's why I bring my son on board to do it, because he watches all of those.
Okay.
So I do the paranormal research, he watches the movie, and then we do the presentation together.
Good. Yeah. I mean, I have seen like Friday the 13th and stuff like that as a teenager, but yeah. But I love everything sci-fi.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I remember watching them as a teenager, but I just don't remember any of them or the plots to them.
I know Kevin Bacon was in the first Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Actually, one thing I found out doing the research for that presentation is the movie Flatliners. That's the name of the movie. Was based on a true story.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
that I would watch. That's not horror to me. So.
And my thing is, we're doing the research on that, and it's like, who would do that as an experiment in real life? I don't know if I could.
Well, maybe someone that was terminal and wanted to find out what was going to happen afterwards before they really went.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. But yeah, or even the Philip experiment. And of course, Hollywood takes its, civil liberties or whatever, creative liberties with their shows. Because the Philip experiment, the way it's portrayed in the other, the Quiet Ones, was nothing what the experiment was like. They actually used their self-manifestation of the spirit to torture a woman in the movie. Where I'm like, that was nothing what the experiment was about.
Yeah.
Because that one I watched, because I really like the one actor that's in it. So, but yeah.
Yeah, that helps.
It does. Yeah. He's cute. It's the guy who was from Hunger Games, Sam Claflin, or
okay.
Yeah, he played Finnick in the Hunger Games. Yeah. But yeah, it helps when they're cute too.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt to watch that.
No.
I'm sure Todd agrees. No.
This is why I always laugh during the show, because he'll make comments in the private chat and I'll just chuckle and people are like, what are you laughing at?
Yeah, I went vain. I put on lipstick today. So as I was sitting here looking at my little self, I was like, maybe I should put on some makeup.
Yeah, it's funny because whenever I put makeup on and I do an interview, it's no video. But then if I skip the makeup, it's video. It's like, I just can't win. So real quick, while we're still waiting for the other guests to join us today, I do want to find out a little bit more about your paranormal experiences, like when your first one was and how you dealt with that.
So when I lived in Florida, New Smyrna Beach, Florida, this is the first one that I realized I had fallen asleep backwards on my bed. And as I was sleeping, dreaming, I knew something was like, my head was in its lap and it was like sort of petting me. And I like realized it and I went, I woke up and I thrashed and I said, get away from me. So I'm sure if it was cradling my head, it wasn't malevolent or anything, but it still freaked me out. And then the first ghost manifestation that I ever had was I was in a murder mystery and it's a haunted bed and breakfast in Mayville, Wisconsin, called the Audubon Inn, and we were in the basement practicing, and people had always said, it's haunted, whatever, and I was in the one room and most of the other people were in another room, and I was just standing there and I sort of looked up and turned, and on the corner of my eye I saw it was a male with like black pants, a white shirt, white male, dark hair, almost looked like it had a long black serving apron on. I only saw it for a split second. I didn't say anything to any of the other ones because, that would have just made the rehearsal go longer. But afterwards, the manager there, it was the owner at the time, and I told him that I saw it, and he's like, what did you see? And then I described it to him. He's like, oh yeah, that's what people see. So that was the first one I actually saw. I mean, I could tell it wasn't a real person, but it was pretty solid.
Right.
And then I was driving in my car and there was this old wood station wagon. And I had seen it a couple times. And one time I was driving and I looked and there was this really old guy sitting behind the wheel. And I looked at him and I was like, that's not right. And then he looked at me and he was like, she can see me, So I don't know for sure if that was a ghost, but I'm thinking it was whoever the old owner of the car was, because it was just like, he was looking at me like going, she can see me. And
It's always funny when the ghost has the oh shit look themselves. And it's not just us that get startled.
mm. And then we were at, I have a seasonal campsite just 5 minutes from the house, and we're all sitting around the fire, and I saw, this was more like a mist apparition of two people walking down the road. And it was just, that was there for maybe 3-4 seconds, and then it just dissipated. And it, it wasn't foggy or anything like that.
Right.
Also at that campground, we have orbs that fly over. When it was happening last year, the people who were seeing it didn't come get us, so we could see it. But so that happens at that campsite. And then there's been several times where like I've heard my name called out when I was sleeping, and like my friend's mom passed that morning, and I heard someone yell, "Lee!" I was like, I woke up. And what else was I thinking? I think that's it.
I'm going to say, I'm sure I'll trigger your memory on some things as we continue on.
I do have stuff that disappears all the time in my house.
Yeah.
But,
right,
I blame that. Yeah. So when I was really young, I smushed a bunch of mushrooms in a circle. I call it fairy circle. Right. But I didn't know it at the time. And as soon as I did it, I felt really bad. Like I did something wrong. I'm like talking, I was 3 years old. So I think it's the fairies getting back at me for doing that, even though I do put out shinies for them and honey and stuff, which I think I learned from your show or one of your guests. So I can.
Yeah, I wish I could remember who it was, but I knew the show exactly.
Yeah.
That we talked about that on. But yeah, real quick, I do also want to, Todd mentioned that our other guest is backstage. So Todd, can you bring her on?
Hello.
Hey there. How are you doing?
Just fine. It's a delightful 7:30 in the morning here in California.
Oh.
That's the problem I have with morning shows. I can't get too many people from Pacific time on my show.
Yeah, we just need someone from Mountain Time Zone and we'd be in.
I know.
Oh, there we go.
Exactly. So welcome to the show. Super excited. Glad to put a face to the name. I know you and I've talked on the phone a couple times, or that one time, and we chatted back and forth via text. We were just kind of chit-chatting about some of Lee's experiences with the paranormal. Do you mind sharing any of yours that you've had, including maybe the first one that you had?
Well, I was just 5 a.m. and I'm lying there thinking, okay, where's my lipstick? Do I have enough makeup? And what was my first paranormal experience? I think I recall, okay, I grew up in Colorado, but I was born and was out here in California until I was about 8, fourth grade. We moved at that point. And I recall always being kind of a little freaked out in the laundry room. So that was either my aversion to doing laundry at a very early age, or there was something in there. And I do think on a more humorous level that some spirits have an aversion themselves to the laundry, or really love the laundry, because I always find them in laundry rooms. I think it's more that we put our laundry rooms in areas that are places we don't necessarily want to go all the time. We don't want to make that room a place where we hang out. It's like, oh, where's the extra space? Well, put the laundry units in there. Do you want to put a nice office in there? No, because we've got a feeling. Nonetheless, it started there, and then we moved to Colorado. And about then, I'm in a whole new culture, which had its own problems, but we were part of the Southwest. Now, I was in middle Colorado, in the eastern side of the Rockies, but that area was Zuni, territory. It was touched on the plains cultures. It touched on the very northern parts of Hopi and Navajo territory, and of course, what used to be called Anasazi, we're now knowing as the ancient pre-Puebloan people.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of tradition and a lot of spiritualism there that if you're coming in without understanding of the cultures, you pick up on, and you're not sure what you're touching. And for me, that became, ooh, there's something here. There's something here. So I just opened myself up. Well, I'm 9 years old. So I'm going, ooh, what am I feeling? Ooh, let me go down to the library and look up what few books there are on anything paranormal. And that's when I realized there was something under the stairs. Now, when I deal with things that I have run into in the paranormal, and I'm not an investigator. I've gone on one investigative trip onto the Hornet, and if you want to meet nice spirits, go to the Hornet, USS Hornet. They're lovely. They'll host you. It's like, come on board. Well, we're fun. We're the nice guys.
Go Navy.
So I'm definitely not an investigator, but this really felt creepy. And it was under the stairs, and I feel these things. I don't see them. When I was waiting in the backstage, I was hearing you, say, Lee? Lee, okay, hi. That you saw something, and I don't generally see things. What I get are these feelings that lead into something that's on the periphery, but not something that I see. But I could feel this thing, and it was down these stairs to the middle of this ranch-style house that was sitting on a very, very steep hill. And I just hated to go down into the basement. And of course, on the right-hand side was the laundry room. We used it for storage because you could go from the laundry room through that space under the stairs into a little utility room, like a little closet. I hated that space. I could feel it. And I could feel that whatever was down there could reach up through the bones of the house. And I remember the first couple of nights that I had a room to myself, my own very own room. It was so neat because it was like, ooh, I'm going to get to have my own bedroom. My sister's over there. She's not going to bother me anymore. And I was lying there looking at the closet, and the closet began to breathe. Was it my imagination? I'm a little bit of a skeptic, so I will allow for a 9-year-old imagination. But I didn't have any way to link that to something I read or saw or a movie or anything. And it was breathing. And was I lucid dreaming? Maybe. But I connected it immediately to whatever it was that was under the stairs. And at that point, my brain finally said, angry, ghost, boom.
Mm-hmm.
Finally got you alone.
Yeah. And I remember just the fight or flight. Well, I got freeze, the third F of those. And I just lay there. I could not move. And then it stopped. And I think I rolled over and just was terrified until I fell asleep. And it was very difficult to go downstairs unless somebody was with me. And even then I could feel it. When we finally moved away from that house, I was just so happy. There was a lot of death connected with the house. We lost animals when we were there. There was just so much weight on that house. And from that house, you could see places. You really had a great view of the whole Rampart Range, which included Pikes Peak. It included places of interest or places you shouldn't go, like Cheyenne Mountain, things like that. And so I was always intrigued, but that just really, really scared me. And after that, I started studying and asking questions and doing things, but not investigating.
Yeah.
It wasn't until, and I would have various encounters around, but I think the most interesting one I had was in Bath, England. We took a ghost tour. Why not? A walking ghost tour of Bath. We were there for the Jane Austen Festival, so of course we crazy Yankees and a bunch of locals too. We're all dressed up in Regency clothing the whole week we were there, and all the locals and the pardon me, and all the footballers and all the folks were there looking at us, going, yeah, whatever.
Did you find your Mr. Darcy?
No, some idiot walked up to me and went, "Oh, I've always wanted to," and he thought he was being cute. He was just being drunk. "I've always wanted to ravish an 18th century woman." And I said, "Well, at least you got the date right," and kept moving. He thought he was being cute. If it wasn't the fact that it was dark out and I was walking about 20 feet behind my friends, it might have been cute. I don't know. Anyway, we took this tour, and it was all the wonderful cheesy tour that you always get with these ghost tours. And we came to the dueling fields. And the dueling fields were exactly what the name implies. This is where everybody went when they were going to go and, try to kill each other over whatever issue. And I felt something grab at my shoulder and at my hat. And I reached up to get the tree branch from unsnagged from my shoulder. And I turned around, and that tree branch was nowhere near me. It could not have reached me. It was way up there. It was like, oh, hello. And I got this presence. I could feel this presence of somebody, a soldier, who had died.
Being dressed up in 18th century.
Yeah.
And I didn't see, but I felt. And there was a lot of, no, you cannot come with me. No, I'm leaving. You have to stay or move along. There's a lot of that. And I say this all with humor. At the time, it wasn't as scary as I thought it might be, but it was a little tense. I know that after a visit to a cemetery here over in Oakland, something came home with me. And I had
that happened to me too.
Yeah. I had to sit down on my bed, which has a straight view to my front door that goes out onto a driveway and down to the street. And my door was slightly ajar. My cat was sitting next to me, looking at me like, "What did you bring home?" And I was like, "Oh, no." And I was very, very tense. And I said, "All right, whoever is here, I didn't invite you here. You are not supposed to come home with me. You need to leave. You're not here for my good intention. You may have come here with good intent, but no, you need to go. You need to move on. You need to go find your peace, and it's not here. I can't help you. Go." And I watched my front door do and the feeling was gone.
Yeah. Yes. It's funny that you mentioned the haunted laundry rooms, because I always discover that bathrooms are haunted.
Yeah, that would utterly freak me out. No, I gotta have my business,
Yep, I've discovered all of that stuff, but yeah. So yeah, I know Lee, you had commented that you had experienced something following you home from a cemetery too. I wanted to touch back on that as well.
So we're in Waupun, Wisconsin. It's known in Wisconsin as the city of statues because there's a whole bunch of bronze statues. So we were up, friends were visiting, and we were up touring all the different statues. And then there's a big angel in a cemetery reading the Book of Life. And I was walking around, and there was two just marked mother, father. I was just like, oh, it was somber. Always going to a cemetery is somber. But when we came home, I was asleep. And as I was sleeping, my mind told me, close your mouth. It's getting in through your mouth. And I closed my mouth and I woke up. And I said the Lord's Prayer. I didn't really know a lot about protection and things like that at that time. I just knew to pray. I also went to a thrift store, and I bought this when I felt it was a very energized book. It was an old book, and it was a story about Arabia or something like that. Well, when I brought that home, I just felt wrong. So that went away out of my house. So
that stinks. Yeah. That would have been a good book.
Yeah, nah, that's okay. Oh. I don't want to, Annabelle. Right. I loved my Raggedy Ann doll when I was a child, and I don't want my my memories tarnished by anything else. I don't need to meet no Roberts or whatever else is out there. I'm good with that. I know ghosts are real. And, they don't, unless they're my friends or they're going to help me or they're my family, they don't need to be in my house. So,
yeah.
But that was pretty scary that, I was in the middle of the night, deep sleep, and it was like somebody was warning me, or my spirit guides were warning me, saying, close your mouth, it's getting in through your mouth. So
it's amazing how they can reach out to us and give us subtle signs and some direct signs like that. Yeah. And then you had mentioned briefly, and actually Courtney has joined us in the chat, and she said that she has protected herself since she was a small child. So I wanted to know, I know in the beginning, when we start interacting with paranormal, we don't know what we're doing sometimes, and we don't know, ways to protect ourselves. But have you two developed a way to protect yourself against the paranormal?
Well, and people, I have my tourmaline quartz, and I have one that I carry around in my pocket with me. I also have bracelets that help. You told me about the
cascaria. Yeah.
Cascaria. Thank you. And I also sage my house, and I do a lot of land blessings now too.
A lot of my studies went towards, and people that I've met went towards Mongolia, Buryatia, the Ulchi people, and so I learned some protective work from them, and a lot of it is verbal, a lot of it is focused intent, but I also have from the Tamang, I have bronze mirrors. So if I feel like I'm going into some place that is, and it's mostly people that I do this, and I feel like I may be just going someplace that's a little too active, I'll take the mirror with me. I have a beautiful amulet from a lady named Nadezhda Duvan of the Ulchi. and it's actually a bear claw and a carving, and it reminds me I need to feed it. And I'll take that if I feel like I'm going in someplace where I just need extra something. Again, I tend, because I'm not an investigator and I don't go places to go poke and prod anything. I'm generally not thinking that I'm going to be doing any work with spirits, but I may be changing that. I may be doing a little more of that. But I've gone I've done the Winchester Mystery House tour, and just in case, I've kind of poked one of my mirrors down my shirt, just so I wouldn't bring anything home. Probably should have done that when I went to the cemetery.
Yeah.
Probably, little things like that. When we went to the cemetery, it was to do a blessing tree ceremony to send out blessings and good thoughts. There had just been a little too much gun violence, and we wanted to do something that had a positive effect. And there were some beautiful trees that we knew people wouldn't be pestering because cemetery.
Right. Yeah, and it's always funny because the bra makes a great crystal carrier.
Yes, it does.
and you never know what you're going to encounter. Right? Yeah, you never know what you're going to encounter. I mean, I have a howlite crystal that I keep with me at all times, because just going out and doing what I do, I mean, you could go to the grocery store and pick up someone's negative energy and bring that home with you. So you just never know who you can encounter. But yeah, and the other thing I did want to step back to is, Lee, earlier in the conversation, you had mentioned fairies.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk a little bit more about, I know we had talked about it on past shows with other guests, but I want to talk a little bit more about what kind of offerings do you give these fairies?
Well, I like to make cards. I don't really do it as much as I did, but I have a bunch of like rhinestones and glittery things, and so I've taken shiny things, like little, they're not real diamonds, I wish I could give my fairies real diamonds. Well, I guess I could, but
they would treat you really well.
Yeah. But so, and then I had honey, but then that was, so I put out a honey stick that's wrapped, and it's a mixture of sweetgrass, sage, and natural tobacco. And usually when I go any place where I'm going to stay for a while, I'll do a blessing to the north, south, east, and west for that. But for the fae, I put out shiny things. If I find a cute shell or stone, I'll put that. I have a shed out back, and then I have it under the shed so my dogs don't get to it. At my campground, there's an old hollow out tree, and I saved a cabinet door. I want to paint it and make a little fae house for them there. I need to finish that before the end of the summer. And then just put, shiny rocks, stones. And well, we have a really nice Renaissance fair here. And there's some fae that are there that could be actors or could be real fae. You never know. But anyways, I was wearing a necklace and I ripped off a thing, and I'm like, "Oh, fairy!" I'm like, "Fairy's like shiny," and she was like, she was very, very cute. She was a blue fairy. Also, they have given me feathers, too, but I haven't really left them any feathers, but mainly just, cute little shiny things that I find in my house, or seashells and stuff.
Yeah.
What I felt led to give them.
No. Right. It's usually what comes to you in the moment.
Yes.
Exactly. And have you encountered any type of fairies?
No, that's not something that I've encountered. I've encountered what I feel are spirits of place. Not so much elementals, but just that which has been. Could have been human, could have been animal, just what is, plant. And I will go out and leave seed. When I get down to those last two, not even heels, they're just sort of afterthoughts of a loaf of bread. I'll shred them out and offer that out, and that way it's an offering to them, but also to those living. I have a little bowl of water out that collects rainwater as well, that whenever anybody needs. And I try to do that. I've been unsuccessful so far in planting bee-friendly plants. They've done all right, but aphids have sort of attacked my rose plant, and I don't know why, my rosemary just doesn't want to grow. And it's like, what? Rosemary will take over if you even let it.
Yes.
But my next door neighbor is a beekeeper, and so I'm trying to help his bees, and it's like, oh, I'm not doing so good, but I'll try again next spring. And we'll
yeah, I do. In the front of my house, I have like a triangle between the front walk and the house. And I live in Horicon, Wisconsin, where there's a very large Horicon marsh here. And last summer or last spring, they had an indigenous plant sale, which for the local meadow. So I'm trying to make that triangle of my house a meadow. And some of the plants have really taken off. There's this really, it's almost as tall as me now, this large purple one that comes up, and every time out there's 5 bees. So
excellent. Yeah,
I like bees.
Oh, good. Yeah, we can't support the bees enough.
I want to grow gardens like that so badly, but I'm allergic to bees, and that's my fear.
Working
in the garden.
Yeah, you probably, I'm sure someone who's allergic to shrimp wouldn't have a shrimp pond either.
Right.
So,
I still though want all the different things. Like I've tried, but I need to get a house to where I can actually have an actual garden, not just little mason jars out on the patio. But I've tried.
I'm a container gardener myself. Yeah, the view you see behind me is a gift of the I guess of the studio. This is not my home. I assure you.
I was gonna say, I wish my home looked that organized.
I wish it looked that clean. No. I live in an apartment.
Yeah, we have. It's a pretty townhouse, and we have trees lining behind us, but it's still not conducive to being able to grow because we really can't plant gardens without having to put them in jars or something.
Yeah.
I love Courtney. Courtney says, "Clean isn't real."
True.
Yep. Well, I do appreciate you guys joining me. I do have a couple more questions. I'm just scrolling through the chat real quick. I know we had gotten a little bit on the topic of fairies, but I kind of want to dive into the topic of cryptids.
Okay,
I don't
great.
know if any of you guys have encountered any, or if you have any thoughts on that. Lee's all excited about it. I want to meet a chupacabra.
Oh, now I can see I'm like, how come I can't see Courtney? Now I can see Courtney. Hi, Courtney. So I've always believed in Bigfoot. I've never experienced him or her, but I've always believed in it. When I heard my name called out, my friend's mom passed. She is Bad River Obijua. And at her celebration of life, they gave out tobacco to do a blessing. And my sister's husband's family had land on the Chippewa River, and she was Chippewa Indian. And so I took the tobacco up there on the first day. without really knowing anything of what I was doing, I had built a fire and, like I said, the Lord's Prayer, and then I did a blessing to the north and the south and the east and the west, and I burnt the tobacco, and I said a prayer for Gail on the river, and it was nice and peaceful. And there was 2 cabins, and I was staying in the back cabin, and when I was walking to the back cabin, there was an eagle feather almost perfectly erect right in the middle of the path.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've realized that that was probably the Sabi Bigfoot had gifted me that because I was doing a blessing to the land.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love it when they give gifts back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And that's the eagle feather is what I do my saging with. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Cool. And any thoughts from you?
I have not encountered any cryptids, save one, and I'm not even sure what it was. I am not sure. I'm a open-minded skeptic regarding Bigfoot, Yeti. A lot of people I've talked to and been learning from and becoming friends with are very big on the Yeti. It's part of their culture. It's part of their spirituality. I've not encountered. There are so many incidents of people saying, "Oh yeah, it was," and no. But sometimes people jump on it, and you're kind of wondering what are they smoking. Then again, you have something like what Lee was saying. Here is a genuine encounter, and she has reasons, and you look at that and you go, okay, I understand what you're saying. So I'm open-minded about it. I remain willing to look at everything on a case-by-case basis. Same goes with paranormal research, but I digress. The one cryptid I ran into, I was driving up Highway 1 just because. I hadn't done it before. I was coming up from San Luis Obispo to San Francisco. I wanted to drive Highway 1. I was starting to get a little woozy because, yes, it does this all the way up. It's beautiful, but I wanted to pull over and either try to get some Dramamine or try to take a breather. And I went down to the beach, and there are all these people standing around, and these kids were doing dive practice with their instructor, and they had found this sea creature. I have a picture. I have to find it. Nobody knew what it was. It was not an eel, but it was an eel. It had kind of chewed up flippers, but it wasn't an eel, but it was an eel, but it was too big, but we couldn't figure out what the heck it was. Naturally, one understands that this planet is still throwing surprises at us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the sea, most of all, is still throwing surprises at us.
Yep. Yeah. Haven't they said we spent more time in space than we have in our own oceans?
Yes, I've heard that. And I tend to believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that was a cryptid with no legend behind it. Nobody was able to figure out what it was. So there was my one mysterious creature.
Right.
But otherwise, I haven't run into it. But again, I try to keep open-minded about it because there are too many good anecdotes where you hear something solid, and then there's too many bozos trying to get a TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's so, especially, you know, with the Sabe, there are so many honest people who have gotten like PTSD or it's changed their life where, you know, they were just out camping and, you know, they had this terrible experience, or it was terrible for them, but it really wasn't, you know, nothing really bad happened, or they saw it crossing the road and, you know, we're taught that this isn't a real thing. And then you see something that's real that you didn't expect to see. So, you know, but I mean, there's tens of thousands of people and then there's cultures that, you know, there's the indigenous people, you know, they have a bear that's a real animal, an eagle that's a real animal, a beaver that's a real animal, and they have a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch and it's all in the same picture or the totem pole or something. And it's like, well, why would this thing have all these real things that we know about, and then one thing is not real? So I think, you know, they need to teach Native American history in schools because, you know, they were here first. Everybody stole their land. Problem with that. But yeah. And they have so much knowledge. And just because it wasn't written down, it was oral history, you know, it's still the same story. And nowadays, I mean, there's just, everybody has a blobby picture of a Sasquatch, but there's so many people that, you know, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're CEOs, they're mom and their kids, these honest people are reporting seeing this. And I mean, it's not just like 10 people a year, you're talking thousands of people a year.
Right.
So
yeah, you saw the show. It was several months back with Todd Neese. He
yes,
runs the Bigfoot research. That he shared a lot of good experiences that he had in the military, and then also investigating these Native American lands.
Yes,
that the tribes would invite him to come out and investigate with them.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you know, this is their history. It's not just something that, you know, is a modern concept. It's something that has long history.
Yep.
And you know, and we won't even go into the government knows about it, you know, and what they're doing. That's a whole nother show, but
we don't want to get the radio station banned from YouTube.
Yeah, there you go.
But,
it's sort of interesting. The up in the Himalaya, the people up there, not everybody, but the people up there generally accept the Yeti as just, there it is. It's the Yeti. You've got bears. You've got Asian bears. You've got, I think it's a variety of black bear. Please don't hold me to that because I would like to look that up first. But the Yeti, yep, there it is. It's just understood.
It's just part of their culture that's thousands of years old. So,
and they have old paintings and old documents where there is a Yeti figure shown or referenced. And
well, even in the Bigfoot is in the 16, I can never say that, chapel by Michelangelo. It's a huge picture, and on the very bottom in like a cave you can see Yetis. I don't know what's
I'll have to look at that. I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I'm gonna have to check that out. But it's similar to also if you look at Egyptian hieroglyphs.
Yes.
You have all these hieroglyphs with real things, and then all of a sudden there's a UFO. Or, you know, something that we think of today as a UFO or unexplainable or alien looking. You know, it's like, what did they have to gain? You know, I always say that every story comes from some type of personal experience.
Yeah. Like the ones that look like the helicopter, it's like they have no frame of reference. Why would they have these hieroglyphs that have that. And
but we have to be careful that we're not also indulging in a little speculation and a little pareidolia. Pareidolia? Yes.
Yeah.
That we're not
Pareidolia.
looking at something and sort of saying, oh, that's what it is, because it may have been something that to their eye was a scarab in flight or something else.
Mhm.
We have to approach it critically.
Right. Yep.
You know, for the longest time, they were saying that down in Nazca that the figure of the man on the hill was the astronaut. Well, no, it turns out it's the fisherman. And they were able to show how it was actually a fisherman, and it was a sort of a cultural style of drawing a person and that kind of thing. But for the longest time, it was the fisherman, and there was also the Mayan. I think it's Mayan, and he is crouched, and he's supposed to be in an exact. Van Daniken did some serious damage. Looking like he's in a capsule or
Yes.
a control.
With a helmet on.
Yet, yeah, and yet if you just turn it ever so slightly, you realize that he's in a different position, really. He's doing something else. So it's a matter of perspective, and that doesn't mean that it isn't, but we have to be super careful and super critical to what we're looking at, because if we look at it with our modern minds, like you said, we may see something that we go, well, what else could they be looking at? And it's a good question to ask. It's a very good question to ask. But are we doing it a disservice by looking at it through our lens, or are we doing it a service of saying, now that we're looking at it? So there's both sides of that argument.
Yep. Yeah, things need to be looked at almost like going through and proving natural causes for paranormal activity. We need to start looking at things like the hieroglyphs and the petroglyphs and all of that, and try to find a natural explanation for what we see.
And accepting that, you know, when you get down to it, the what was it that Sherlock Holmes was famous for saying was not saying, because he wasn't real, but the once you've eliminated everything, whatever's left, no matter how improbable, must be the answer.
Occam's razor.
And Occam's razor, yes.
Yep. And before I forget, Christopher just reminded me, happy birthday, Lee. I had it on my list of things to say, but I forgot.
Yeah, I just saw it.
I know when we planned the show, you're like, it's my birthday.
That's my birthday. I'll be on your show.
Oh, happy birthday!
Thank you.
Need balloons. Need streamers.
Yeah, I wish I would have had
I
something.
have
I didn't even think of
shoestrings.
it this morning.
Sorry, I was tie-dyeing, so I have a bunch of shoestrings.
Courtney's saying happy birthday as well. But for those of you just joining the show, thank you for watching. I see Lori Downs is here. There were a couple others that tuned in. And Courtney, we all love you too. I
Yes,
appreciate
we do.
you being watching the show and commenting in the chat.
Aww.
Thanks, Todd. But if you guys have any questions whatsoever, just let us know. Daughter with Spirit Psychic Medium Jennifer Newman is also joining us, and she's saying happy birthday. So let us know if you guys have any questions. We're just kind of chatting about paranormal experiences that we've had in the past and different thoughts on whole bunch of different paranormal topics with a couple of my guests who like to watch the show. And I do appreciate your guys' support with the show too. So I definitely wouldn't be here if I didn't have my viewers.
I just found everybody's comments. Here, I thought it was just a chat. And I was like, oh, wow, look at all these wonderful people. Oh, my goodness.
So I had mentioned this in a text to you. Do you want me to talk about my dreams of alien abduction when I was a toddler?
Oh, yes, because I was definitely going to shift. My next topic was aliens
Okay,
and what
good.
your guys' thoughts were on that one. So that's a perfect one.
So I was very young. I was a toddler, probably 3, 4 years old. And I remember this in dream format.
Mm-hmm.
But I would tell my mom and my family about it. So I was always really afraid of the laundry chute because it was a metal tube. And I can remember not being able to move, laying still on a table, and metal tube above me, and I was moving in the metal tube. And I also have, I remember I called them the motorcycle men because I was a child, no frame of reference, small. They were taller than me as a 3-year-old, but they were very small. There was 3 of them. They were all the same color, and they had big heads, like they had a helmet on, which is why I called them the motorcycle men, because back then I didn't know about aliens or grays or anything like that. I remember we had eaves in our house. We would go and hide to try and hide from them when we knew they were coming. We had a big field next to our house, and it was nighttime, and I was out with my sister's dog, and I fell to the ground and I couldn't move. And I told the dog to run away so they wouldn't get him. And in the sky, there was a light coming down, and I heard beep, 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 and then it was gone. Also remember when I had these dreams that like my family would wake up different places. Now I've asked my sisters and they are like, no, I have no memory of this. So I'm like, okay. So it's just me. And then it was in October, I think of 1974 is when the Betty and Barney Hill story came out on TV. And back in those days, we had one TV in the house and three, 4 stations. So I remember we were sitting down to watch it with my family, and they were playing the story. And when they showed the UFO coming, it was making the same noise. Beep. And, this was beforehand is when I told my mom about this. But so this was happening, and I freaked out. I'm screaming. I'm like, that's the sound that the noise made in my dream, or the light made in my dream. But then I also had, on my right nostril, I was having chronic nosebleeds. And so my mom took me to the doctor, and I had a big, it was a clot. It was a big clot in my nose. So my mom took me to the doctor. He took it out. He was looking at it. My mom's like, oh, it's just her from picking her nose. And the doctor's like, oh no. He's like, her finger could not reach. I had like a cut way up in my nose and in my sinus. The doctor said it was not natural, and that there's no way I could have did that to myself. And he actually had to cauterize it. So I even have physical evidence. So I was going to had asked a friend to do a hypno therapy or to try to remember it. And when I was talking to them, they're like, well, it sounds like you remember a lot already. I said, yeah, but I remember it as dreams as a child. But they said, no, it sounds like you remember a lot already. And then I really thought about it. I was like, really, do I really want to know the details? Probably not. So, but when I was in 4th grade, when we moved from that house in Milwaukee, and I really don't have any memories after that of what, dreams of abduction. I do know when I was a teenager, I was outside looking at the stars, but really with my boyfriend. But I really was we were looking at the stars, and we saw what looks like a satellite just coming across. I was like, oh, look, there's a satellite. And we were both looking up. We both saw it. We were looking at it. It was going across. And all of a sudden it sort of stopped. It went bing, and disappeared. I was like, I don't think that's a satellite.
Yeah. Courtney actually wants to know if you've ever had a head scan.
No, I had an MRI on my lower back, but yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I'd be interested to see what turns out from that.
What if they find out there's no brain in there? No, just kidding.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead about your book.
Oh, no. I'm listening to Lee's story.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then just at the campground, we always see either satellites or other things going by, but there are, and I've seen the video of it but there are orbs that like appear and then they go over and then they disappear. Like one night they were I think they have 4 of them on their phone recording.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of that in Vegas, being a couple hours away from Area 51 when we lived out there. So a lot
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, so I used to have to go to Vegas all the time because I was in the Air Force. And I flew on radar airplanes. So.
You ever watched like the paranormal caught on camera and see some of those things?
Yes.
What do you think about some of the
Some of them you can tell it's just totally fake. And I'm just like, oh, that's not even real. And then some of that just creeps me out.
Yeah, it's insane. Brings up
I find myself yelling at the TV with that show.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of that here, too. It's like, oh, come on, it's a guy in a parka. It's not Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you can see the zipper.
Yeah. Or he's got his hands in his pockets and he's just lumbering along. It's like, please.
Yeah. And actually, Lee, real quick, getting back to that, the story, I think I shared it on the show a while back in Searchlight, where there was in the 70s, I think it was, there was a plane, a military plane that was going from Las Vegas to Hawaii, or California, then to Hawaii, got shot down, and witnesses on the ground said that they saw a UFO actually shoot it down, where the military reports say it was lightning that shot the plane down, because the spirits of the men on the plane are known to haunt the cemetery because that's where it landed, the debris from the plane.
Hi, Christina. I get to say hi to Christina for once. Sorry. Got very excited. So I've heard about that, I think. I do know, well, of course, with Lake Michigan, there's, I think, a P-30 or something that went from lower Michigan. And it was flying up towards Lake Superior. It went down in Lake Michigan, and that was unusual circumstances. But yeah.
Okay, yeah, because also that same area is part of the Nevada Triangle, where you have Mount Potosi, where Carol Lombard's plane went down, Area 51 smack dab in the center of the triangle, and a lot of things happen in that little area.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I've been to Nellis a bunch of times, and we never could fly over Area 51, and then I was in AWACS, which is airborne radar. And then I was in JSTARS, which was ground radar airplane. And we were told that because we had synthetic aperture radar, we were told in no uncertain circumstances that we were to do a SAR of Area 51, that they would know, and that we would get, Article 15 or court-martialed for doing it. So didn't care, didn't look.
What a shame.
Yeah. I was like, no.
I've been
I get in trouble. I don't want to go in Leavenworth. So
I don't want to end up
I
married to
I had a friend that worked there, and he's like, well, if I could tell you anything, I couldn't, because I'd get killed and you'd get killed. So
yeah.
I don't think anything's really there anymore except for test airplanes. I think it's too well known, and if there was anything there, it's gone. So,
and even though it's highly secure, why run the risk?
Yeah,
exactly. So
leave it as a distraction.
Yes. Have everybody looking at that while it's over there.
They just need to remove everything top secret and open it up to the public. They could make a killing.
Oh yeah,
that would pay the national debt instantly. Okay, and you had mentioned your book, which I actually still need to get, but you said the Anasazi ruins inspired it?
Yeah. Okay, so growing up in Colorado, I grew up near, well, not near, but close to the the rock cave dwellings. And I spent my whole youth telling my mom, I want to go. They even rebuilt them in Manitou Springs near where I was. We never went to Mesa Verde or any of these other places. And all of a sudden I found myself in the middle of the pandemic with a massive case of writer's block and trying to get refocused, and I stumbled upon some old books and things of mine that I thought I had like thrown away and moved out here to California and lost and whatever else. And apparently they wanted to be found. So here were all my books on Mesa Verde and with the Anasazi and everything else. And that was always so beckoning to me, because in a way, this was the exotic, it was the boogie boogie type people. Well, now we don't call them Anasazi, like I said earlier, because that was a Navajo word for the people who were there, and they're actually the ancient pre-Puebloan people. And we're learning more and more and more. They were the folks who were in the whole Four Corners area of Colorado, which is so beautiful. It's gorgeous, but no four corners, even though they all meet up there, each corner of Utah, Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico, different. The minute you cross the border, the landscape starts to change. Maybe the closest are New Mexico and Arizona. And it is a little Tony Hillerman country. And so I started doing my research, and I started learning more and more and more and more and more. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to write about something that came even before those people, because I felt a little uncomfortable about creating, if you will, an antagonist from people that I didn't know, that became people that I don't know very well. And I didn't want to grab their culture and go, here, it's mine, I'm going to write about it. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to speak to something beyond that. So when I wrote The Skin Thief, yes, that's the name of the book. Oh, here. I don't know if you can see it. There it is.
Hold it up a little bit higher.
There you go.
Okay.
There we go. Ooh. Yeah. Yes, it got awards. It got awards over here. I get
cool.
Put stickers on it. It's almost like being a kid and going, where do I put the sticker? When I was writing that, I needed someone who was not connected, someone very disconnected. But being able to do all that research, I found out what little we know about the people who lived in the ruins. And, well, they weren't ruins at the time.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. They weren't ruins at the time.
They were ruins at the time. They were very beautiful, very gorgeous buildings. In Chaco Canyon, down into New Mexico, these were apartment buildings. They were vast and they were incredibly well created. And we don't even understand all the details behind their religious beliefs. Why they abandoned each place, we still don't know why. But where I was focused is a place that people don't know about because it's fairly new. It's now a national park, national monument. And it is, it's in the Four Corners region, Colorado, and it doesn't include Mesa Verde, but it's up along that highway, by the way, that used to be Highway 666. Yes, the haunted highway. Yes, I researched that thoroughly. And that road leads up from Gallup, New Mexico, wiggles its way, doesn't wiggle sometimes, goes really straight for a long, long time, creating sort of a hypnotic effect, up, crosses the Colorado border, goes up through this national monument and over into Utah, makes a little turn at the top. And this national monument has more archaeological sites per square foot than anywhere else in the United States. And we're only just now getting to look at it. And some of it is just beautiful, just gorgeous, but we don't know a lot about it because it's new. And it's like, ooh, here we go. The people could have abandoned due to effects of climate change or
shortage of water.
Yeah, shortage of water, food issues. Other people kind of getting into their act, too many people arriving and going, oh, we like this, let's move in, and too many people affecting the area. Warfare could have been a problem. Rival factions. We all know you get more than 10 people in a room and suddenly you start splitting up into us versus them. It's a human thing. There it is.
You may have lived there in a past life, if you believe in that.
I wonder. It's very possible. I've always been drawn there. Mesa Verde in and of itself is fascinating, but the ruins are a focus of the book, and so a lot of it is set there in an old town. And believe me, the Four Corners region is actually a lovely place. Friendly people, terrific. Cortez, near Cortez, Colorado. It's worth driving through there, but if for no other reason, coming up from Gallup, gorgeous. That's that Tony Hillerman location where you just see, and it's Navajo land, so be respectful. And Hopi land, don't go there in jeans and a t-shirt. If you're going to go onto their land, you have to have permission. Check it out with, I think, the National Park Service, or at least go online. They ask that if you are going to go and visit and observe some of the things that are going on, please dress appropriately and act appropriately. They have some rules. It's appreciated if you follow the rules. So, and I would recommend that if you go anywhere on this planet, check out where you're going and see if the local culture says thou shalt and thou shalt not. And
spent over 3 years of my life in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Former Air Force girl, I understand.
Yep. Ulabaya.
Don't go off base without your best male friend.
Exactly. Or 10.
Yeah.
10 preferably. Yes. So, but I touch on some of the culture, but I kind of did a little bit of a duck and a dodge so that I didn't appropriate culture, but I hope that here in this thriller, that I touched on a few things that might whet somebody's appetite to get them to want to go and learn more. And that's my hope.
Hold up that book again.
Oh. It is called. Whoops. Let's see if I could do
I was
that.
going to say it's disappearing in the background.
I think this. Well, okay. There we go. If I put
There
my
you
nose on it, it's called The Skin Thief. There you go. It's available on everything except audiobook. I haven't gotten the audiobook. I have to work on that. I have to find somebody to narrate it, but that'll be interesting.
Todd has a great voice.
Oh,
Christina has a good voice too.
Yeah, but we have to make sure there's a kick-ass. I could say that.
Yes, you can.
Okay, there's a kick-ass female character and a real cool cowboy who's half Oaxacan, and so yeah, I had to pick Oaxacan. Everybody loves to say Oaxacan. We just love it. So, but yes, so male and female. So he'd have to be able to do female lines. Without sounding like he
said
would.
her hand is raised for narration.
Yeah, I was going to say you have a couple people volunteering for.
Well, then you're going to have to get them in touch with me. Anyway, thank you for the shameless plug. I sure appreciate that.
No problem.
Don't worry, I'll be buying it.
Yep. Yeah, I've had it on my list for a while.
And I have to get Heather's book too, my haunted lighthouses.
Yep.
My Ponce de Leon lighthouse.
Oh, yes. And I have several more coming out. I can't keep up with them, but but it keeps me out of trouble. But we have about 20 minutes left, so I have a couple questions that I wanted to ask you guys. When you shared with your family, if you shared with your family, I know Lee, you mentioned you had told your mom about your paranormal encounters. Did they believe you?
Yes. Because my sister is, and so I won't tell her to watch this because I don't know. So one of my sisters, of many, I have a lot of sisters, finally admitted to us she's a medium. She can see and hear. When my other sister passed away, because we were asking her where the safe key was, and she's like, okay, I can hear. And then that was a paranormal thing. So we were asking my sister where her safe key was. I was using her restroom, and I tripped over nothing and sort of fell and landed, and in my crook of my hand was the safe key. So my sister tripped me to show me where the safe key was. That's a paranormal thing. But definitely no problems. And with the family, I think all of us have a little bit of Irish. We all got some Irish, Scottish witch in us that bless you, or coughing. So of course they believe us because my one sister knows more than me definitely, and has had experiences her whole life, and my other sisters are all intuitive and stuff. So I never had, I mean, they always, when I was little, they thought I was dreaming, but
yeah, I know with my parents, at first they didn't believe me. And then now that I'm older and they've actually had experiences themselves, they're not like,
yeah.
And did you share with your family?
Yes. My father was always pretty open to that sort of thing. He was very good at doing hands-on healing. My grandfather, through my father's second wife, was the founder of the Berkeley Psychic Institute. My mother, when I told her about it, we were out for a walk, and when I told her, she out loud went, "Oh, honey, really? Oh, honey." And then quietly leaned in, she went, "You know, your grandmother used to cancer." my mother was very much into appearances.
Mm-hmm.
So it made sense to me that she did it like that.
Yeah.
And that was fine. She had Alzheimer's. So she didn't remember the conversation about it at all. And she, it floated away, but it was somewhere in the back of her head. So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad did hands-on healing probably until about 6 months before he passed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he was good. I mean, he would just go over there, and people were going, "What are you doing? Stop that! Stop that!" Oh, it feels better. He also had an issue with personal space, but we won't get into that.
And have either one of you ever had a moment where you're experiencing paranormal activity and you're like, God, I'm crazy? Like, just you feel like you're going crazy and it's really not paranormal? I think that all the time.
I've always been told, or I've always thought that, like, when I'm having deja vu,
Mm-hmm.
that means my life's going the way it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, no.
Yeah.
I think out of desperation alone, I just fall back on, oh no, it's paranormal. Relax.
But sometimes you just can't help but wonder.
Yeah. I always say, so I feel one of the gifts of the spirit is discernment. So whether I'm sitting in a church or listening to someone or listening to a podcast or, watching something, I just automatically know if something's true or not, or if it's not quite what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a gift of the spirit, so I know I have that. So
okay, and then my last question is, are you guys more believers now than you were when you had your first experiences? I know you were young when you had your first experiences, but I know some people, I've interviewed people who've become more skeptical the more they've learned about paranormal activity, but then others dive deep and become more of a believer as they get older.
Personally, yes, definitely. Well, of course, when I was real young, I had no idea what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, definitely opening up more on purpose. So
mm-hmm.
I think I have to agree with Lee. I think that in gaining knowledge, I feel more solid. I don't know if I believe more, but I'm more confident in what I believe. Yeah. And I feel that I'm better equipped to look at a situation and approach it from sort of a more mature, I hate to use that word for myself because not mature, but I feel like I'm better equipped to analyze a situation and, to sit and yell at the TV on those shows and go, who are you fooling? That kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can't even watch those shows. I'm just like,
yeah, you just got to remember it's for entertainment only.
I was sitting in a restaurant with my sister and we were talking about paranormal and something really hard poked me in my side. I just sort of looked down like, don't touch me again. But, and in those shows, they'd be like, woo, and then run out of the room.
Did you hear that? Wait. I heard them say, and it's like, I'll back it up on the thing and go, nope, didn't hear it.
Yeah, I close when they're doing the, when they're replaying, I'll close my eyes so I don't see the clue word.
Yes.
See if I can really hear whatever they think it's saying.
Yep. Yeah, actually,
there's some of the shows that, like, some of the shows, you know, you can tell that they're actors. And some of them, like Dead Files, I love that show.
Oh, yes.
Yes, they might do a little editing to get what Steve finds and what Amy comes up with to match a little bit more. But, you know, I believe it's true. I know, you know, what she's experiencing is real. I also like Kindred Spirits. And they do a lot of investigation type stuff. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Some of them I'm just like, why am I watching this?
I get a kick out of Ghost Brothers because they're just having too much fun. Whether they're finding anything or not is almost beside the point. You're just watching them and they're having fun. Old Ghost Hunters, I was good with. New Ghost Hunters, the latest stuff, they're filling an hour slot with whatever they can find. And I don't know what they're finding, and I've stopped watching because it's the same old, same old. Did you hear that? No.
Courtney, I'm with you. I like Ancient Aliens too.
I haven't watched
They're going on tour. Did you see that?
Yeah. I'm like,
they're coming to Tampa. I want to try to get over there and see that.
You know, I saw that with Courtney. Yes, you are right. It's they go in and they kick off the spirits, and that's the big thing I have with a lot of these shows. The adventures people. Oh my God! They go in and they do nothing but provoke. And they go in and they do all this. And it's like, okay, we found your spirits. They're pissed off. We found them. We got our footage.
You're welcome.
Yep.
No, you're supposed to solve the problem.
Be respectful.
And then they don't understand why they're having health issues afterwards.
That was the thing that the original Ghost Hunters, I thought, were doing pretty correctly. They were at least polite.
Well, Paranormal State, he was really investigating and trying to, and he got really sick, like real sick.
Grant Wilson, when he did his little offshoot on A&E, they were really focused on solving problems. And I think that because they solved problems and the poltergeist didn't turn out to be a demon, and the poltergeist and this turned out to be somebody's mom and not some horrible, awful creature from
the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, they just didn't get the ratings. Also, A&E wasn't really promoting it. And so he only got a couple of seasons and also got a little weird at the end. But they didn't get enough time to build up some momentum with marketing and everything else, the business side. Right. But they were really focused on going in and solving and not leaving somebody with a house all stirred up, which I thought was great. But I was watching these shows other than Kindred Spirits and Dead Files, where they would go in and just say, here's your problem. No, it's not a problem. Just call us. Like they're going to pick up everything and go respond and go back. No, they're not. They're already off to the next one. They're not going to turn around and go back. To me, it's becoming irresponsible. So for me, I would like to see more of a complete investigation where they go all the way out and they fix the problem. And that's what I like about Kindred Spirits and Dead Files, is that they go. My only problem with Amy was the thing of, here's your solution. You need to get a left-handed shaman from 2.5 miles away, who's on vacation, just back from the recipes for what they needed to solve were getting worse and worse and worse. And it's like, Amy, you got a team. Bring your team over, fix the problem. Don't leave these people with, they've got to find the left-handed shaman from Kepski. You don't do that. Don't stop fighting it. Go help them get it. Have a team. Get it in the production team. You know,
that's what we always said about that. It's like, you tell people to go find, a demonologist and a shaman and a Catholic priest twice removed. I love that left-handed thing. That was funny. But yeah, that's what would always frustrate us. It's like, well, you told them what's wrong. You told them you need this. And then, 6 months later, oh, we're still having the problem because we can't find a shaman. It's like,
you're a bartender. You don't have connections for that. You can't put a want ad out for that. I'm sorry. We don't even have want ads anymore, do we? Maybe Craigslist, but I mean,
Craigslist. Need a left-handed shaman, please.
Yeah. A male medium with strong ego on Craigslist. Do you know what would start showing up at your door?
The next thing they'll be saying, you need a 6-toed priest.
There you go. Oh, maybe Cindy Cats won't do that quite so bad. Or they'll finally get a team, because I know Amy sent in her team on several occasions.
Yes.
And I thought, that's great. And they're probably busy because they probably do more than just.
Yes.
But, oh my God, it was like, oh, wow, that's a prescription you can't take to the pharmacy. Oh my God. And no wonder.
Nowadays with online.
Oh.
Yeah, Courtney asked real quick before we close out the show, do you think that they said using the left hand is a sign of the devil? Do you think maybe that's why they made it negative, because it is the healing, because of the healing side? I'm left-handed and I've heard stories all my life.
Oh, isn't that back to the Roman times of Sinister and Dexter? No, pardon me.
Ambidextrous.
Sinister and Dexter, yeah.
Yep.
And then we looked up Sinister, the word with the meaning, baggage, left hand.
Yep. But thank you both for being on the show today. It's been very entertaining. Todd says he's laughing in the background. He's like, I'm dying over here. So,
well, I appreciate you letting us on.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for coming. And Lee, real quick, can you let everybody know where they can find your show and when?
It will start on September 4th. No, September 3rd. Sorry. No, I have July up. Sorry. September 4th. It's Labor Day. It's on WLTK DB Talk Radio. And we will be reviewing sci-fi movies, fantasy movies, and TV shows, paranormal, like we were sort of just doing now, talking about. And I'll have a guest on each week, and we'll pre-announce what movie we're going to review. My first guest will be Mr. Todd Bates.
That will be a fun show. He's a great guest.
Yes, he is. And we will be reviewing The Others. Nicole Kidman.
Yep. We know why Todd's watching that one. No.
Because it's a good show. And it's on at 7 p.m. Right, Todd?
Central Time?
7 p.m. on Mondays.
Okay.
Central Time Zone. That would be 8 p.m. Eastern. No.
Yep. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central.
Yep, I was right. Okay.
6 p.m. Mountain and 5 p.m. Pacific.
Yes.
Yep. Exactly.
And then on Mountain Time, that would be 3 p.m. No.
Good. I've had guests who
it would be
don't show up for the show because they think it's their time. I did that once. He was in Egypt, And I told him, and I told him 7 p.m. Eastern for a different show I was hosting. And he messaged me in the afternoon, I'm ready. And I'm like, okay. So I did I just recorded it and got it over with. Because I didn't want to make him to have to come back on. But anyway, and your website is, if I can read it correctly, TEMacArthur.com. And
Yep.
That's where they can get your book?
Well, you could go there, or you could just hop onto Amazon, Draft to Digital, Smashwords, Barnes and Noble, pretty much anywhere. There should be on my website a QR code that you could just scan, and it should take you into a page called Books to Read, and you can click on wherever you want to pick it up, and I'd love it. And here's my shameless plug one more time. And thank you for letting me come on and play.
It's very nice meeting you too, and
lovely meeting you,
Dr. Lee, in person. Or
I know. Yes,
yeah,
perfect. And I can't wait to catch your show.
happy birthday, Lee.
Yes,
thank you. And Dr. Lee, I'm hoping that you will be a guest. So pick out your favorite sci-fi, fantasy, paranormal movie, and we can review it.
I will definitely do that and get back to you. Would love to.
And if you want to do Disney, we can do Disney too. No, because you're in Florida.
I worked for Disney for 15 years almost. I'm Disneyed out.
You know what? So if I wouldn't have went in the Air Force, I was thinking about going and working at Disney.
Yep.
But I didn't.
But the nice thing is, it's working there has given me a lot of stories for my next book.
There you go.
So, but thank you again, ladies, for joining me, and thank you everyone who is commenting and watching. If you're just catching the replay, wait a few moments. It'll start over on Facebook, or you can catch us on WLTK DB Talk Radio LLC's YouTube page, or any of my pages as well. So thank you again, and we'll see you next week on Exploring the Paranormal, and we have special guest Nicole Gasper joining us for that. So we'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTKDB.com.